Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, there really couldn't be a clearer illustration of how Donald Trump divides America than reaction to his first State of the Union address. After the president finished speaking, the Republican half of Congress stood and cheered. The Democrats, meanwhile, that half sat in stony silence. Well, here's our Washington correspondent, Robert Moore.
This was the president's opportunity to speak directly to the American people. A small crowd jeering him on his way to Congress.
The President of the United States!
Donald Trump has become the great polarizing force in America. But for all the controversies he has stoked, Republicans greeted him like a returning hero.
The state of our union is strong because our people are strong.
But the image here told the real story. A deeply divided chamber reflecting a deeply divided country. His supporters cheering him to the rafters. His critics sitting silently. There were few concessions to his opponents. This was his announcement on America's infamous military prison.
I just signed, prior to walking in, an order directing Secretary Mattis to keep open the detention facilities in Guantanamo Bay.
And then there was this clear threat to those countries who voted against America's Jerusalem decision at the UN.
I am asking Congress to pass legislation to help ensure American foreign assistance dollars always serve American interests and only go to friends of America, not enemies of America.
He then praised Congress. For Trump, that is quite some reversal.
This Capitol, this living monument, this is the monument to the American people.
Republican lawmakers broke out into patriotic chants. He departed looking confident, but he also knows the Robert Mueller investigation into alleged links to Russia is still overshadowing every aspect of his presidency.
Great job. Thanks. Thanks, fellas.
Robert Moore, ITV News, Washington.
Now, President Donald Trump says he used his first State of the Union address to Congress to reach out an open hand across the aisle for unity. But Democrats say his other hand was a clenched fist. His proposed immigration deal, with its offer to help some illegal immigrants in exchange for a border crackdown, has been criticised by both pro- and anti-immigration groups for being too hard or too soft. The president spoke at length about his own achievements, particularly on jobs and the economy, hailing what he called the extraordinary success of his first year. Alex Thompson is in Washington now. Alex, how did it go?
Well, it went long. That's how it went. An hour and 20 minutes, given all those up and down standing ovations from the Republicans, of course. There was a time, you know, when US presidents just wrote it all down on a letter and had done with it, sent it up to Capitol Hill, and that was that. How times have changed. This is a businessman president, and he needs two deals. He needs a deal with the Democrats in Congress, of course, going forward, and he also needs a deal with the American people, and they're not buying him at the moment if the polls are to be believed. So we saw something different. The rudeness, the roughness, and frankly the racism at times that have characterized Donald Trump outside of the Capitol, all gone. This was about appealing across the divide, I think in a quite genuine sense, tactically, if for no other reason. But did it wash?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
Hail to the chief, although for this occasion, rebuild as the great conciliator.
This, in fact, is our new American moment. There has never been a better time to start living the American dream.
Except It's an American nightmare for half of Congress, who sat stone-faced and text messaging through much of it. Republicans, of course, on their feet, it seemed, at every full stop. This is America divided. So he came here to, as they say, reach out, specifically to Democrats on rebuilding the economy, with the demand for $1.5 trillion to reconstruct America.
We will build gleaming new roads, bridges, highways, railways, and waterways all across our land. And we will do it with American heart, and American hands, and American grit.
But the olive branch proffered to Democrats on immigration shriveled even as he held it out.
Under the current broken system, a single immigrant can bring in virtually unlimited numbers of distant relatives. Under our plan, we focus on the immediate family by limiting sponsorships to spouses and minor children.
Republican applause, but only after the Democrat groans and boos.
We are here and we are not going anywhere.
And out there, around 800,000 dreamers across the nation. Illegal immigrants desperate for their president to put back legal safeguards he took away.
Our parents brought us here to have a better future, and so I would love for him to do that for us and think of us as his own kids.
But no joy from their president last night. He said all Americans are dreamers.
Immigration policies that focus on the best
It was
interests.
long, very long on rhetoric, short, very short on substance.
This one.
Trump the showman, veering from excruciatingly kitsch to moments of genuine theatre. The North Korean defector who lost a leg escaping the regime. The parents of student Otto Warmbier, who died after imprisonment in North Korea.
We need only look at the depraved character of the North Korean regime to understand the nature of the nuclear threat it could pose to America.
And yet, nothing concrete on what to do about Little Rocket Man in Pyongyang. Nothing of substance on Iran. Nothing of substance on Afghanistan. And the biggest nothing of all delivered to Congress, Russia. Special counsel Robert Mueller, the spectre hanging over last night. Will he soon question the president on alleged collusion between his election team and the Kremlin? Not only that, the CIA boss now says Moscow's at it again, likely to destabilize the coming midterm elections. The Union is in a hell of a state over Russia. Silence from its commander-in-chief.
Thank you.
So replying to the address, the Democrats' chosen man, Joe Kennedy, up and talking Russia almost from the start.
Russia, knee-deep in our democracy, a Justice Department rolling back civil rights by the day, and this nagging, sinking feeling, no matter your political beliefs, that this is not right. This is not who we are.
In fact, this notorious place turned out to be the one standout policy of global significance that was announced. Guantanamo Bay stays open.
I just signed, prior to walking in, an order directing to keep open the detention facilities in Guantanamo Bay.
Republicans standing to applaud detention without trial. Perhaps not exactly what the Union's founding fathers had in mind.
Well, I'm joined now by two heroes willing to brave the cold of Washington, our roof here. Andrew Sullivan, who's, of course, writer-at-large at New York Magazine, and Didi Bass-Wilburn, Conservative commentator. Well done, both of you. Let's talk about this nuance, this attempt to be presidential. Do you buy it?
I do. I think he did a really good job. I think he spoke to his base. I think he spoke to the American people, and I think they listened. He stayed on task. He did not, you look at the body language, the smiling, and I look at all of those things, but I think he did a very, very good job.
But come on, he did this before from the same podium, went off and went bonkers on Twitter.
Yes, he did, but he hasn't gone bonkers on Twitter as of today, has he? I don't.
Well, TikTok. Well, did you buy it, Andrew Sullivan?
No, it felt to me like someone with bad BO that covers it with cologne. It kind of made you feel faintly nauseated towards the end. And the cliches were just staggering. I mean, no mountain we can't climb, no boundary we can't cross, the sort of lame patriotism that he trotted out at every moment, as well as the lack of any actual substantive proposals for the next year. But I think, you know, they used the audience members really well. They attempted, while they were peddling a very deeply anti-immigration speech, lots of immigrant voices and faces in the crowd. The Democratic response was terrible. So he'll probably get a lift from this.
Right, well, we always
I agree with that.
But we always say in politics, you know, the economy's stupid. Something's going wrong. The paradox here is the economy's quite okay in the United States, but the people who voted this man in, they don't buy him. These are appalling approval ratings.
They are, and I think that, but I think after last night, and there were some things that I heard, and in terms of the cliches, there were some things that I heard in terms of the economy. African American unemployment, Hispanic unemployment has gone up. We do have to give credit to the previous administration, but things are still getting better. And I think that the American people, that they are excited about that, and they see things getting better.
Last year he described the economy as an absolute disaster after 7 years of growth. We had another year of growth, and he's claiming it's a miracle.
He's turning around. It's the tax cut. It's working.
But it is working, and there are 250 companies that have given out bonuses and pay raises, and retirement contributions have gone up, and the American people are excited about that.
Yeah,
$1,000 is not something to sneeze at for a lot of people, and I think that's a good thing. And again, and I totally agree in that regard. But you have to start from somewhere, and you have to and American people want to be able to hold on to something and say, okay, this is good. Let's see how it goes. Let's kind of stay positive and keep moving forward, and try to, all the rhetoric and all the negativity, we got to get past that. And and the only way that we can get past it is by starting somewhere. And I tell my husband all the time when we're having our, you have to start someplace.
I want to move on to Russia. Okay, this is a statement about where the state of the union is in this country. We have the CIA director saying recently that forget the past and the election, what's coming, the midterms, in his view, directly affected by Russia's interference. No mention from the commander-in-chief. What's going on?
Just because it wasn't mentioned, there were a lot of things last night that probably weren't mentioned that a lot of people were hoping that he was going to mention. I don't think that mentioning...
This is interference in the very thing that the American people hold dear in that building behind us.
It's interference he wants. I mean, it's interference on behalf of him. And it's interference on behalf of polarizing and dividing the country still further, which he is only egging on.
He wants the Russians to interfere in the American democratic process?
Yes, because it helps him and the Republicans, and that's what they're intending to do. He has no qualms about America being attacked. If his ego is involved, his ego comes before the country every single time. We also have a city in which the FBI is at war with itself, in which the Department of Justice is being torn apart, in which simple, normal rules and procedures which people used to observe are going out the window. There's chaos in this town.
He can't be that cynical.
Oh, yes, he can.
He can? There's agreement on that?
No comment.
Right, I'll take that as a tacit agreement. Okay, let's turn on the thing that raised its head very, very much in the campaign, the fence with Mexico. We kind of laugh at that on our side of the pond. A bit more serious here. Is it going to happen?
He's winning on immigration dramatically, because the Democrats have actually put themselves in a position of being against border security, in favor of allowing lots of people coming to the country, and were prepared to shut the government down to protect non-citizens. In other words, shut the entire government down for citizens in defense of non-citizens. That's a crazy position to have.
Final word, Denny, he's winning on immigration?
I think he is winning on immigration. I think that the American people, just like with an airplane, you have to take, when you're on an airplane as a parent, they always tell you to put your mask on first as a parent before you take care of your child. President Trump, he's keeping America first. He's watching out for the people that are here. He's not saying that we're not going to take care of anyone else or we're not looking out for others, but he is saying, I want to keep America first. I want to keep us safe first.
Okay. Andrew, tell me a quick last thought on that.
He described most immigrants as potential criminals and murderers. That is not a kind or unifying message. And his attitude towards immigration is that it really is a terrible threat to the United States. It is not. It is the greatest thing America has ever had on its
We
on its
seem,
side.
and I'm not surprised to say it, as polarised the morning after as we were the day before. Thank you both very much. Go and get warm. Back to you in London.
Alex Thompson in Washington.